afternoon to you all, our viewers. Welcome to this episode of Women Rights. Yes, today is quite special because we are doing this on 8th March, which is the International Women's Day. And we are really so happy. We have visited one of the great women in Uganda to tell us about the significance of this particular day. Yes, this day is about us, the women, appreciating ourselves, loving ourselves, and of course, doing more to see that we are not lagging behind. We don't want to leave any woman behind. So, a woman who is watching us here, so welcome to this episode and feel at home. Like the conversation, leave a comment, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you are really watching us for the very first time. My name is Madreen, and with me today I have a senior citizen. That is none other than Honorable Dr. Miria Matembe. Honorable, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
You know why I paused a little bit and laughed? You are talking with so many young people who are going to be listening to us.
Yes,
And so when you say we are talking senior citizen, Miria Matembe. Yes, the senior citizen know me, but those young people, and I'm not here to describe myself, so that should have been your role.
Yes.
But nevertheless, let's begin.
All right.
I want to thank you so much, Madam Naiga. That's the name.
Yes.
What does it mean in Uganda?
Honorable Naiga, I come from Gavi clan. That is what I can say.
If you ask me what Koburunga means, I would explain to you what
Yes.
it means. So actually, when you talk about Ngavi,
Gavi clan.
Ngavi,
Yes. Most of our names, the Baganda, do not have attachments or meaning.
no, they do have meaning. You are just a young person, you don't know. For instance, you talked of a clan. Even me, my name Koburunga is related to a clan because it is, we have this black seed, red seed with a black eye, very beautiful seed. And it is a clan of it was a clan of my father's mother. The bedira, okwedira,
Yes.
yedira karunga.
Karunga.
And therefore my father called me Koburunga. It is special, yes, that Koburunga because of that. Anyway, I'm glad to be here in this civic space to discuss the issue in relation to celebrating Women's Day. So what was your question?
Thank you so much, Honorable, for allowing to come to this space and talk to us about the relevance of Women's Day. Yes, many of us do not know we are women, but maybe we don't know what this day specifically means.
Okay.
So, Doctor,
I'm very glad that you are raising. I'm glad, and I want to thank the Lord for two things. One,
yes,
that you are raising such a question because it is not just simple thing, because that very question is disturbing the young people, the young generation, especially the boys. Why Women's Day? Why girls? Why not us? Why? So it is very important and central to the progress of the struggle for gender equality and women's empowerment. So I'm glad you have raised this question. And secondly, I want to thank the Lord that me, a senior citizen, who was at one time one of those who were at the forefront of the struggle for gender and equality, for gender equality and women's empowerment in this country. About 39 years ago, I was one of those people at the forefront, but I would say most vocal. Most vocal, I can assure you, and up to now, I carry the passion. So I'm so glad that even after, is it like 20 years now, you are still looking for me to say word or two. It gives me pleasure, and I want to thank the Lord for this favor. I don't take it lightly. Now, let's go. To begin with, I would like to congratulate both men and women for reaching this day of celebrating, I think, in this country of Women's Day, because I remember it was we in Parliament, when we went to Parliament of Uganda, when our late Byekwaso, the Minister for Gender, I think was Byekwaso, I've forgotten the other name, God rest her soul in peace, but it is under her when we fought in Parliament to ensure that this Women's Day is declared a public holiday. Because other important days were public holidays, but Women's Day was not a public holiday. And we wanted it to be a public holiday so that you reach a stage in the years you go down and take a halt and say, hey, where is the position of women in this country? How far have we gone in realizing what we went to realize? So I want to congratulate everybody who has reached this day. And to me, as a person who was so vocal running with this battle of gender equality and women's empowerment, I want to congratulate and thank the NRM government, the original, not the party, the original, not the fake party. And put those words there, don't rub them out. Because it was certainly during that, the first Museveni rule. You know, we have first and second Museveni. People don't know. There was first Obote and second Obote. We have first and second Museveni. I want to congratulate the first Museveni. First Museveni government, which actually was quite long because it was 1986 to 2006. I want to thank them for the opportunity and the environment that was created for us women to get out and be seen and be able to speak and be heard. Because I want to tell you that before, yes, women were there. Women like Madam Honorable, the late Honorable Joyce Mpanga, Sarah Ntiro, Florence Rubega, there is a lady called Kerry in the North. There are quite many if you read the history. They even participated in the struggle for independence of Uganda. But down the road after independence, the environment was so violent, was so unconducive. There was no political will to advance the cause for gender equality and women's empowerment. Therefore, it was quiet. But when NRM government, first Museveni National Resistance Movement government came onto took over power, they came with the woman question high up on their agenda. In other words, the issue was, women, where are you? And to Miria Matembe, who had been locked in a cage, looking and longing for a day when she would get on a public platform and call women, where are you? Let us resist. We are being mistreated. We are being rejected. We are being discriminated against. Let us rise up. I was dreaming of that day. Then it came to pass. And therefore, I thank Museveni. And I want to say that despite the fact that I disagree with what he's doing all this time, he went astray. He left the path and went astray. And that's why you find things are not going the way they were going. Nevertheless, you must be grateful. You must give credit where it is due. Now, that brings me to the Women's Day. I want to say that we have traveled a journey which you are going to ask me to explain. But why Women's Day? Why Women's Day is not only a Uganda question. It's a question that dates so back because it is the Europeans, the Americans who started this struggle. And by the way, this struggle was started in 1898. Why I say that 1898? Because in 1998, I, Miria, received an honor, a distinguished award as one of 100 women heroines of the world.
Oh,
Should have brought my certificate so that you show it.
wow.
As one of 100 women heroine
All over the world.
of the world
Oh,
who had made a tremendous impact and acted as great role models
wow.
of courage and confidence for the women of the world. That's
Wow.
what my certificate
That is
says.
very, very
And I want to tell you that they were observing or acknowledging the journey of gender equality and women's empowerment from 1898 to 1998, of 100 years. And they noted, they picked 100 women
100
out
women.
of those 100 years
You were
who
among.
had made a tremendous impact. I
Wow.
can't believe
Wow.
it.
Wow.
And I didn't know. And by then I had gone on to the public platform for only 13 years.
Only 13
Out of those
years.
100 years, I had gone out there
And the
for only
impact
13
was
years. And I
so.
don't know how they chose me. Me, I
Wow.
was just a minister. I had just been appointed the first minister for ethics and integrity, and I was in my office, and I received a package, and it had a camera, and they said, please, we are pleased to inform you that you've been
Wow. Selected among the 100 women.
as 100 women of the world, and that you take your pictures and send them to us and come want to celebrate you in New York. Oh my God.
Wow. How
You
was
do,
the experience,
oh my
Honorable?
God. Holding a Uganda flag
Ah,
among the
there are
past women
many.
of the world. You
Yes.
people, you
Yes.
see me here, you see those. Vice President Simanyi what? Mine is distinguished.
Wow.
And I give the glory to
We
God.
thank
And
God
that's
for
what
that.
makes me happy all the time.
And that's why we
So,
keep coming to you
the
all
journey
the time.
began as I have told you now.
Yes, yes.
Why did it begin? It began because women were not looked at as human beings in their own right. Women were treated as 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 over half people, as not existing, as no, it is wrong. So it also, but what is amazing to me, which I'll share with you, is that when I was a child, I had not known that people outside there were also struggling. But in my own way of lived experience, I could see discrimination against me and girls in my village where I lived. I could see the violence among the women coming crying to my mother. She was a woman leader, Mothers Union. They are crying, they are suffering. I experienced discrimination in the home, and you can see people you say, those are English things. Or when I made my mind, I was 9 years when I made my mind that when I grow up I would become a pleader for women and girls, because why are they not treated as full human beings in their own right? You get it? Gender equality and women's empowerment is just about treating women and girls as full human beings in their own right, entitled to equal opportunities, to equal rights, to equal anything that accrues to a human being should accrue to a woman. The fact that they are of different sexual agenda does not mean that they are half. And I keep telling people, they say, okay, God created a man and then he got a rib.
From them.
A rib, the rib was from the side of the man. God who created us knew where we would be, that we should exist side by side with men. And the reason why he created the women is because when after creating man, he saw that man was not complete. He was missing. He did not, his life was not complete. He didn't have life actually. It is women who bring life into these men, I can assure you. Today I don't have all that time to explain all these things. But God, our creator, did not create us to be like half. just because we came from a rib. Do they know what a rib means? It's harder, it's tougher,
Yes.
it's finer. And we are created as the guest of honor, because when we arrived onto this earth, God stopped creation. And can you imagine that he delegated the responsibility of procreation to Adam and Eve, to a man and a woman, and more especially in the women's womb, which makes us special and very crucial and important to humanity. But that was not being recognized, that was not being acknowledged, that was not, we are just treated as just nothing. So, when the battle started all the way from Europe, all the way it walked. People fought until they reached Africa. Eventually, they reached Uganda. So, the battle for gender, recognizing this day, Women's Day, is to note how far has the struggle gone? What benefits have we secured? What challenges are we facing? What strategies, therefore, are we going to put in place for the next year? So you reach a year and you say, stop here. You know, like they remember commemoration of AIDS Day. You know why they do it? What was AIDS? What caused it? Where were the strategies that we used to fight? How far have we gone? So we say, hey, wait a minute, hold. Where are the women of Uganda? How far have they gone in being treated as full human beings in their own right? When we started, what were the challenges? What were the strategies? What were the problems? And how far? How far? It is just me. I pity these Ugandans, especially both women also, who don't understand. Oh, women, they dance. The question is, okay, there was a battle. There is a battle here for gender equality and women's empowerment. Why do we use the word empowerment? We use the word empowerment. Empowerment in terms of gender means that a woman gender has ability and the capacity to participate in decisions that affect her as a human being, affect her family, affect her community, affect her nation. Because she's also a recipient of those decisions which affect her. That's why we say nothing for us without us. And you know why we want that? Because God created a man differently, and he saw that he was missing something, and whatever was missing in a man, God put it in a woman. And that means when a man sits alone and decides and takes action, and they are missing a very important element which God saw was missing. And I want to tell you that all these people who say a woman was created as a suitable helper, and they think that our help means making the beds, washing the men's shirts, cooking food for them, a home mom, simanyi home mom, what do they call them? Mom, stay home mom. If that's what they think, God, those days there was no home. Adam and Eve were in that garden together, and moreover, they had not even started producing. Yes. They had no children to care for. There were no clothes to wash. There were no beds to make, no bed sheets, no shoes to brush. There was not that. But God saw that a man needed help. So what do you think the kind of help he needed? It was intellectual help. It was to do with wisdom. It was to do with emotional help, emotional support, intellectual support, wisdom in support. It was not just knowledge. Because a woman, we know God, let me tell you, women listening to me and men listening to me, women are special before God. Can you imagine? Women are special before God. God even made the man sleep. He was sleeping when God was creating a woman. Therefore, he doesn't know much. He doesn't know much. Eh? And let me tell you, when God created a man, and so the man needed help. Let me tell you, women, we don't need help from anybody except our God. God never created a helper for a woman, because when he created us, the completeness, the perfection of his work was through a woman. And therefore, before God, we are so great. We are so great. There's nothing. I am calling upon men out there and women. Please stop looking at women as helpers to wash plates, to cook the food, to wash clothes. I'm not saying that they shouldn't play that role, but that role a man can do. What is it in a man's hands that he can't wash clothes? What is it that he cannot cook? What is it that he cannot? What? Tell me, what is it? When he's making a bed, what's wrong making a bed if you are going to sleep in it? I'm not saying women should not do those roles. After all, we have gone beyond. We are building houses. We are climbing engineers. You have seen engineers. You have seen. So what is it? So men and women, as we remember this day in our 39th day, 39th year of marking the struggle for gender equality and women's empowerment in Uganda, please wake up. Wake up and know the crucial need and importance and value, the need and importance of women to humanity. I am telling you, if you asked God, what did he mean by creating a woman? A woman is so crucial, is so valuable, is so important, is so needed for advancement and growth and well-being of humankind. I am telling you, these men you see here, even when it is Archbishop and he loses a wife when he's like 8 years, they mobilize and they marry a wife for him. Why? Because he's helpless. He's helpless. He cannot be on his own. But a young woman who loses a husband at 25 years, 30, I've seen them during a minute's time they lost, but they stay without marrying, without getting another husband. But they are able to rear the children, nurture them, and eventually these children become like prime ministers. They become great engineers. They become what? You women, Bananga, I don't know. In this world, if God can give me, if I can get, I don't know whether, I don't have any job in this country. But if I could get a job, a desk, and be resourced and power and give this information of the value and importance of a woman to humankind, because that's what will accelerate the action. I'm even going into the theme. You asked me one question, but you can't see. But that will tell you the passion. So what is the importance? Now, I'm telling the boys and the men hearing me, because these days they are saying the boy child is neglected, the boy child is neglected. Nobody neglected the boy child. And up to now, we who rose up to fight for gender equality and women's empowerment, we were fighting to lift the girl and the women from a dustbin where we were thrown in, to be on the platform, equal platform with the boy child and the men. There is no single factor that discriminates against a boy or a man. I will tell you the factors that cause a woman, hinder women from using their God-given talents and wisdom and knowledge which God gave to us. Genesis chapter 1, before you finish chapter 1, it says God created them both male and female. The fact that we are the same before God, we are mentioned in chapter 1 of Genesis. Eh? And so we got this knowledge, wisdom, and talents that a man got. Hmm? But being the guest of honor we are, when a guest of honor arrives in a place, is more important than all these other guests. Therefore, we are like that. Now, there are factors that prevent the woman from realizing, using those qualities that God gave to realize his God given, his potential to impact on the lives of everybody. One, customs and cultural practices. Customary and cultural practices and beliefs and values are a big hindrance to a woman and a girl child, and yet they don't affect the man. Okay? In fact, they elevate a man, they elevate a boy above the girl and the woman. And therefore, how could I now go and fight for the boy who is already elevated, who is not discriminated, who is not hindered by customs and culture? I had to fight for this one who is hindered. The second factor is ignorance. The two types of ignorance. One, the one I have been explaining to you. Lack of knowledge, ignorance about the value and importance of a woman to humanity. If everybody was to know what a woman means in a human being's life, then they wouldn't treat us. They would give us first class, please. Because once we are treated like that, once we get knowledge, once we get educated, once our skills, our ability are exploited, then things would go well. Things would go well. So that ignorance is a hindrance. The second type of ignorance is lack of formal education. Because we are deemed, we are demeaned, we are looked at as not full human beings in our own right. If I share my experience, the way I suffered, the way I was being neglected, and yet my brother is getting better opportunities, getting school fees, getting what? My story, I have shared it so many times. It is documented in my book. It is the one which gave me the passion, which I call God's purpose for my life. That the school fees for the boy is there, but you as a girl, you stay out of school for 1 month, and yet you are expected to perform as well, and therefore in the end, P6, get out and get married. You get out, you don't get education, you don't get married, and when it comes to culture, according to cultural values and systems, you don't even own anything at your parents' place, because the things belong to the man, because for you are going to marry, and then they sell you for bride price, and they bring these cows, and they don't belong to you, and they are in your womb, they don't belong to you. You are just a garbage. You are like a tractor. You do all these things. If you see the first poem I wrote, it is even documented in my book. You are doing all these things, and yet you own nothing. And therefore, you have ignorance. You don't have the education. Your skills are not developed. And therefore, the third thing, challenge, constraint is because you are treated like this, you are poor. Women are poor because they own nothing at their father's place. When they marry, they own nothing. The things, all the work, all the digging, all this belongs to who? And even when it comes to modern women, I'm telling you, I will give you I don't know how long I need to speak, but I will tell you, next time you call me, I want to speak and speak this message, because not many people understand these things, because God gave me a wisdom and a passion for it. Now, you see, we educated, like you take my son and my daughter in love. I give you example. Not that they do this, but this is what happens. In the village, of course, I've told you, you marry, you belong to the man, you are like his property, you dig, you do what, you own nothing. Now, even when we are educated, these things follow us. Let me tell you how they follow us. The man will work and you are also working. And then he's the head of the household. He's the one to give a decision. He's the one to rule, I see these references. Please be submissive. Be submissive to these men. And I ask, which submission are you talking about? They don't even explain it. So this young boy will come and say, my darling, I want to plan. Okay? Let's plan. For this year or 2 years, my income, I'm preparing, I must leave something to buy a plot. where we shall build a house. The madam says, okay. Then he says, for yours, you continue to buy buy food. Let your money buy food while I buy the plot. You agree in love. She buys food and cooks the food for you. You go and buy the plot. Now, when the plot is over, now you tell your darling, you know what? Now I want to start building the house on the plot. And as for you, since the children are now big, your money will be paying school fees. Now you start paying school fees and she buys the plot. Eh? And he writes it in his names. Yours is not there. And after building the house, he buys the bed, he may even buy the mattress, and for you, you know what you do. Eh? You are buying all the saucepans, you buy the plates and the cups and the tablecloths and the bed sheets. Do you know all these things you are buying? They are all perishable, immediately perishable. Immediately perishable. The cups are breaking, you are buying more. The school fees you paid, can you account for them? The children have gone to school, they're educated. But for him, he can account for his money. The house is there, the bed, you know, bed doesn't get old quickly. The mattress is there, but how many sheets have you bought by the time the marriage is 10 or 20 years? How many bed sheets, how many cups, how much food you have eaten? And in the end, there is disagreement because you are even working so hard, and divorce comes. And they say, okay, what do you have here? Tell me, what do you have? The plates are all they are broken, but the house is there. It is in his name. The beds are there. The mattresses are still there. The chairs are there. And for you, the cushions or whatever you bring, banange. When I became a member of parliament in Mbarara, I told women in Mbarara, stop doing what is finishable or perishable if I can. Tumureke gukora ibikwaho. Don't do things. If the man is buying land, plant matoka and say, yes, I planted also. And then you buy cows also and you have cows there. The thing which I found, men don't want women who are economically empowered. They don't want it. Many of them, that's why they are fearing to marry these empowered women. Because they think they can't be able to rule over you. Why do you control a woman? Why do you rule over a woman? Why don't you agree and understand with one another, and together you make a home? This is what we are talking about. And that is poverty now. The other thing is legal discrimination and inadequacy. Lack of sufficient law and discriminative law on women. And the fifth one is religious misinterpretation and misapplication. Those are 5 factors. I'm talking to these people listening to me, those who are in government, those who, if you want to reactivate the struggle for gender equality and women's empowerment, and you called it what? Progressive action or accelerating. If you want to accelerate, focus your struggle at fighting against these 5 barriers which I have given you. Those barriers, customary and cultural practices, 1. How far have they gone? How far have we gone in defeating them? Look at the Sembabure, look at Kirura, look at Rengwe. All those women come here crying to me because they are marrying girls of 13 years, 14 years, exchanging them for cows. Eh? You can imagine old men coming to marry these young girls because they are not in school. Look at that. You focus on how far have we gone? How far have we gone in destroying this ignorance which I'm talking about? How far have we gone in improving the law and making it well, good and effective, non-discriminatory and adequate? How far have we gone in interpreting, correct interpretation and application of godly principles? How far have we gone? And then how far have we gone in fighting poverty among women and the girls? That is when you will accelerate the whole issue. So I think I have just said too much here before you ask more questions, but that is the importance of that. And I want to tell the boys and the young men listening to me that we have not neglected them. what has happened, because nothing discriminates against them. They still have the priority. But what has happened is that when we woke up to fight for the girl child and the women, by the way, I staged a play. I had a play through action for development because I knew what was ahead. By the grace of God, I have wisdom which shows me what is ahead. We staged a play, I think it was in 1992 or something like that, and it was entitled The Time Bomb. It won, it was the play of the year at the National Theatre, and I was there participating. I was warning Ugandans, look here. You have always said women are useless, women gossip, women are not clever, women, but we have risen up. We have risen up. We are empowering ourselves. We are struggling for ourselves. And you men, right now, you have the power, you have the authority, you have what it takes to be full human beings in your own right and not us. Therefore, I propose that both men and women rise up. And for us, you know what they call a tug of war when you are pulling a rope competition. We staged that even on the theater. I said, men, you are holding all the power, they are holding the rope. And they have, if they were to pull at a go, we would all fall. So my play was, please, you start releasing slowly that power and that authority and those advantages and those privileges. Start releasing slowly as we also on this side receive slowly, so that each of us will eventually meet in the middle. That is the equality I was talking about. They release slowly, we take slowly, they release slowly, we take slowly, so that we meet in the middle. They ignored my call. They ignored my call, and they started saying, those are the Matembe things, that is Matembe women, as if I'm a lesbian. I've never been a lesbian. And even these days they say, those are the Matembe women, don't you see them? I say, I'm not a lesbian, so they can't be my women. But they didn't get that, because I was foreseeing that we shall reach a stage, if women have pulled seriously, either one part will fall, either the men will follow there, or if the men pull so strong, the women will follow here. And me, I didn't want the falling. And in the meantime, while we continue to educate our girls and tell them, you are also a human being, you are also, you can get this, you can, they learned. In the meantime, the message to the boys by the culture, you are a boy, you are a boy, you know you are a man, you know you are, what does being a boy and being a man mean? Ego. The egoistic message of taking authority and taking everything and demeaning this woman who is supposed, by the way, to beef you. Without her, you are just lost. They ignored. Now they woke up to see, these girls whom we thought they were nothing, whom we thought they don't know anything, they are now catching up. They are passing us. So they are shocked. The boy child and the young men have been thrown into a shock. And now my call to the people listening to me out there, both men and women, now that they have understood that inequality is not good. I heard the Archbishop Kazimba Mugaru is always saying, a girl child, a boy child is neglected. Who neglected? And for him, he produced boys only. And his boys are doing well. So who neglected the boy? For him, he produced boys, he's like me. So me, I want him to join me now in this battle together. Rather than leaving us out to fight alone for ourselves, they join us and we redeem the boy child and the man, the young man. Because why do I want them redeemed? Because God created a family as the first institution. It is the only institution that was created by God. And why is a family very important? Very, very crucial, very important to every nation. Because the children, God stopped creating and he delegated the responsibility of creating human beings to us. ourselves within an institution called the family. And therefore, it is important that we get this family, because if you are going to have men who are weak, who are like lions in hiding, they are lions but hiding. A lion never hides. I'm a man, but I don't see you. I don't see you. These girls who marry these men, the men are supposed to be the vision bearer. They are supposed to be looking ahead, and I'm supposed to be beefing him with what he's having. And now you find young men there, no vision, no direction, no nothing. And you find these women with direction, with passion, with rising up. And then when they are rising up and they are doing what they are doing to support the family, then the man is scared and then the marriage breaks. So what do we gain? So we cannot gain much when we gain women's empowerment without the equivalent of the man and the boy child. And me, I'm available. Since I know the history and what causes the boy child to be who he is, I can join with everybody who wants to fight. And by the time I go to see the Lord, we may have redeemed the boy and the girl child.
Wow, thank you so much, Honorable, for that background. And so, Honorable, from all that, the journey of Women's Day, some of these challenges that you've highlighted out, the hindrances that are hindering women to come out, are still happening with us in society.
Yes.
What are some of the strategies you think we can adapt to see that we do away with some of the hindrances that you talked about?
Me, what I want to tell you first, the struggle for gender equality and women's empowerment is a journey. It's a journey.
Yes.
It's not a one-day thing. I told you where it started long ago, more than 100 years now. They have not yet achieved that equality we are talking about. But at least you gain along the path. So I want the people listening to me to know that it is a journey which must be walked by both men and women. Because why? It is for the benefit of both men and women. The challenge we face is people think, those are women's things. Is there any woman thing which doesn't affect a man?
No.
There's no woman thing. There's no woman's interest. There is nothing that is for the interest of the woman that does not affect the interest of the man. In the first place, that's what should be known. You see, you are asking me what strategies. That alone is a strategy. The main hindrance I told you was ignorance. And the two types of ignorance. If you want to run very far, you must deal with these two types of ignorance. Ignorance, which I told you. And one thing I want to say, that it is a journey, as I have said, which must be walked by two. And in fact, as you walk it, don't think that you reach a conclusion of it. I don't know, let me tell you, those who fought before Honorable Joyce Mpanga, they never saw what Honorable Joyce Mpanga saw before she died and her colleagues. They left us in these struggles. But let me tell you, down the road, I'm not going to see what is going to happen. Because I can assure you, this education of the girls will come. We may find that men and women are working together, although not everybody will have achieved that. So since it is a journey, you just embark on this journey. Both men and women embark on the journey, support one another after they have learned that it is important to empower a woman, to enable her utilize her potential, her wisdom and talents, to realize her potential, to contribute to humanity and advancement of the nation and of the community. If that message can reach, that's what made us reach where we are. If you ask me, what is it that made us break through? Because by that time we started, when the NRM opened, and me, I jumped onto the public platform, as I said, 39 years ago, with a dream that I have been having to get a platform to call upon humanity to really rise up and deliver the woman from the dustbin or dungeon or whatever. What we have achieved is so much. I remember when I came on the platform with vigor and passion and this kind of energy. Mrs. Mpang, Honorable Mpang and her colleagues were telling me in National Council, now National Council of Women, mwana wange, she said in Uganda, mwana wange, genda mpola. In other words, my child, go slow. I said, Mama, you've been going slow. This is not time for slow. It is time for increasing the speed. And I told her that even in Uganda they say, no wozadde akubira engoma nozina. So I told her that they said that even your daughter or your child can drum for you and you dance. I said, let me drum for you as you dance with Rhoda Karema, with all these women. I said, let me dance, make the drum.
And you dance.
And you dance. And I started beating the drum and they started dancing and down the road we started dancing all together. We united and united together. We danced and danced. Let me tell you, by that time, women, I would say women were not seen. They were there in plenty, doing all the effective work, but not seen. They were not heard because they are women. They were there. I remember the first book we wrote in Ackford, Action for Development. We called it Visible at Last. Visible at Last. Do you know what we said, Visible at Last? At least women in positions of power, women acknowledged and recognized. Before we went on to the public platform, you would never, talking about a woman? What are you talking about? Woman was something behind the scenes. You could not get a woman, a guest, a chief guest as a woman, or they are talking about women. No. Those days, let me tell you, women played 3 roles in public, even especially when there were public functions like celebrating a day or something. The women, they would be proud and they would be dancing what they did. The guest of honor, of course, would be a man, and what the woman would do, and all these organizers, the ones who are seen. Behind the scenes, women would be organizing, but at the public platform, you will not see any woman there. So the women would do what? They prepare the table, they do what? And then when the function is over, there are 3 things they would be proud of. Me, I was the one who was serving at the high table. You hear? And they are so happy about that. The next women would be the ones who cooked the food. When the guest of honor came here, Mr. So-and-so, for us we cooked the food. For them they cooked the food. The other one who served the food. Another category of women would be the one who danced for the guest of honor. And they are there dancing for the guest of honor and they feel happy. And then in the evening, the other category of women, the young girls, sexual abuse, would be dancing in the bedroom with the guests of honor. And it used to kill me. It used to kill me. I said, surely. But now tell me, the guest of honor, Prime Minister, how many ministers do we have? Governor, director, judges, all these. No, there was no judge, no member of parliament, no minister, no nothing.
And Honorable,
I am telling you, in these 39 years, because of running out with the fighting with our mouth and action, explaining, talking what we need, what we want, mobilizing women in the village. I am telling you, we have run, we have achieved so much in these 39 years. Women in the markets, owning the market, owning the things they sell. Women in shops, in the economy. Which woman was in the economy? If you dig and plant beans, your husband is the one to sell them. Sell them and come with a kilo of salt. And you cook food. You planted the matoke, you get it, you fetch firewood, you get your beans, and he comes and puts in, he takes the beans, sells them, and comes with salt. And he says he has brought salt. Therefore, he's the breadwinner. Who is the breadwinner? In that situation, that's the message I used to take to the people in Mbarara. I tell me who is the breadwinner. You are telling me a man is the breadwinner. Without a man, the home is finished. Tell me who does all this work. Who puts the food on the table. These days I see the boys say, they come on the table, they come on. I tell women, please, God did not create a helper for you, but men need us as help. And therefore, this kind of information, this kind of message, which lifted us and put us where we are, is no longer delivered by anybody. I really don't know whether outside there are still women who are running with this message I'm telling you. And therefore, my point is that we ran with the message of education, we fought the culture, we educated, we got, we broke through the barriers. That's why Action for Development, which we formed in 1985, just prior to Museveni coming in, after the Nairobi conference, we named it Action for Development. We wanted to see an action in terms of development for women, because prior to then there was Mothers Union, Women Christian Guild, or they were talking about women cook nicely, women make the beds well, women, no, we have made beds too long. We want to sleep in those beds comfortably.
Yes.
And the message I used to give to the women of Mbarara and the men, I say, please, you continue, make the beds. We shall make the beds. We shall cook the food. But please, let us sit at the table and eat our food well. You don't come drunk and chase us away from the food which we have cooked. We make the bed. Please give me the peace to sleep comfortably in the bed which I have made, rather than throwing me away and getting girlfriends and putting them in the bed. And those are the messages I used to give, and they came to understand. I was not about not playing the role as a woman. I don't mind. You see me here, I'm a wife. I'm a distinguished woman of destiny, you know, but I'm a wife here. Yes, I'm here. I may cook the food by proxy, because if I employ my housekeepers and they cook the food, we go to the table and eat. I make sure the bed is made. I make sure those things are done. But does that stop me from doing? And in any case, if the man goes to the kitchen, these days they are machines. Their machines, microwave, the kettle, the whatever. Let the man go and put on the kettle, put microwave. Can't they even peel matoke? Don't they do it when they're in those hotels? In those hotels, what do they do?
Yes.
So please, I don't know how far I had gone, but I was telling you that, look here, when we talk of equality, we are not saying that a man turns into a woman, but because they have kept their brains locked, the attitude, the moment you change attitude, we need attitudinal change.
Mindset
What are
change.
we looking at? I keep telling men, look here, there are so many things that make you less of men than making a bed, than peeling matoke, there are many things that make them less of men than bathing a baby. Or giving a baby milk. But for them, they get those, what they call naturally, which is natural.
Yes.
What is natural? The only difference I see which is natural is that a woman is the only person, except for this nonsense which they are trying to work on, but it will not work. She's the only one who can become pregnant, because she's special before God. She has a womb. God gave her emotions. God gave her humanity, more humanity than a man. Men are like machines, they are like what? But women, they laugh at us, they say we are emotional, we are what? God gave us those qualities for the sake of advancing and rearing a humankind and nurturing for him. So when these people go astray, and I don't know.
So, Honorable,
I don't know.
all these contributions that you talk about, the efforts that you put in to see that no woman is left behind, what needs to be done in this women empowerment struggle to see that no woman is left behind?
But for me, when I see what these things are doing, the questions they raise, no woman should be left behind. Who is left behind that woman? Who is left? For me, for instance, if we continue, my talking to you is, we are not going to achieve, to break through these barriers. I told you the barriers. In Action for Development, breaking through, building, and binding. We wanted to break through the barriers which I have listed for you. And then we wanted to build the values, the systems, the laws, the policies which advance women's development and empowerment. Now we should be looking at to what extent have we broken through, and what is preventing us from breaking through some of those barriers, and what have we built. In the meantime, you break through, you build. Where you break through, you build. And then bind. Yes. We wanted to bind ourselves in love with one another for the advancement of our own communities and of our nation. Do you see that motto? Where is ACFOD now? Action for Development. I don't want to start accusing them. But do you know, in Action for Development, within 5 years, we were the first women organization, human rights non-government organization. We were the first non-government organization that bought a home of its own. Within 5 years of establishment of ACFOD. Wow. And within those 5 years, we had bought a piece of land. There in Nsimbizuwome, we wanted to build a women's center for self-sustainability. By the time I left ACFOD, within those years, we had achieved that. Wow. But do you know how many years since then? So many years. In fact, they are like, if we are 39, I think they are like 30, should we call them 35 years? They have ruled for now. Let's call them, yes, 30, either 34, let them, even if we say 34 years. What have they achieved? Do you know recently what I found out? I found that our land has almost been sold, has been leased to somebody for 2 million. ACFOD's land, which we ourselves bought to build to build whatever. So what am I telling you? That the current leadership among women are not driven. They are not driven by the passion to serve humanity. They are not driven by the passion to empower women and lift them. Because that is just an example. Just an example. If in 5 years we have achieved that, for you in 34 years, instead of having built a whole home, and so you are leasing our land. Can you imagine? And if you go to even other non-government organizations, they are also doing like that. So for me, I don't know how much I will answer you, but what I want, I wish people, I'm not elevating myself for being arrogant, but I wish, I don't know how many women out there in Uganda have this which I have, which put me out there. If those women who one thing you need to know, which I was saying, I'm proud of myself and my colleagues of that generation. Because when we started, women were nowhere. But you look at this current government, for instance, the highest women for us were 39 women in parliament, 39 like this. And when we went to CA, I think we are what? Were we 52? Because they added some people from the main constituency. At the beginning, it was woman representative and so on. But now, you go to the government. This government is led executive. I think there are 5 people in executive, 5 or 6. There is a president, yes. There is vice president, there is a prime minister, first deputy prime minister, second deputy prime minister, and third deputy prime minister. Among these 6 people, the 4 are women. 4 are women. For us who are not anywhere, by the way, I never held any significant position in this country. I never.
Will ask if we have these influential...
Why are you asking me? Don't ask me that question. I'm the one who brought it. We have those. Out of 6, we have 4 distinguished leaders. And then we go to the parliament, which is supposed to make all the laws that help us. we have a speaker is a woman,
Yes.
and we have so many women there imaginable. The other day I saw the parliament full up of women leaders.
Women, yes.
They were called Simany First Women Parliament. First Women Parliament. But what is the level of sexual violence in this country? What is the level gender-based violence and sexual harassment in offices? What is the level of defilement in this country? What is the level of child marriages? We had fought those things, I'm telling you. And you know that every day people are running here to me who they have been raped, who have been defiled, who have been all these things, all these things. So women have got to rise up and stop selfishness and self-centeredness. And by the way, let me tell you, without attacking the women members of parliament, without attacking them or demeaning them, I wonder how many of them you can go and interview and they will answer to you the way I'm answering you. I don't know how many of them. And as long as we don't have as many of them seeing the situation the way I'm seeing it and telling you, then is it acceleration? I don't see the acceleration. Point number 2. The political environment has changed. And I want to tell you that as long as the political environment is violent, is mad with conflict, is not smooth and conducive for women's participation, they cannot. They cannot effectively participate. I want to tell you that right now, women are in power without power. They are in power without power because they cannot influence anything. Because of one, self-centeredness, they fear for their jobs, they want to get money, they want to be all right because of that self-centeredness. And secondly, because of the violent, conducive environment, which they cannot stand out and speak for the truth. They cannot disagree with what the leaders of the government are saying. They cannot do all that because they are scared of losing their jobs. And the same applies to the whole nation. And then thirdly, the ethical values, the morals and ethical values of this country have been broken. We are no longer bothered about others, but our concern is about ourselves. People have got into power, they are self-centered and power-oriented. They run to get power for themselves. Whereas for us, in those days, we were people-centered and service-oriented. We wanted to get power, to use it in service of empowering women, improving society, and moving forward. And therefore, it is not easy. There are so many things, and now we are on reverse. We call it backlash. We are meeting challenges, we want to move forward, then people are crying, the boy child is neglected, the boy child, that one is also a hindrance now. So now I see women shouting, but Matembe, the girl child, we need to care for the girl, the boy. Yes. They are saying the boy child, we are neglecting the boy child. Now that one is also a hindrance, yes. a detractor. They take away your focus. Indeed true, the girl child, the boy child needs to be addressed too, but we need to find strategies and without having to hinder. Because I keep telling people, why I call it a detractor. I want to ask you, during COVID, all those thousands of girls that were defiled, that were raped, that became pregnant, where are they? Where are they? And where are the boys? The boys and the men who made them pregnant, nobody was put in prison, nobody is suffering. Those girls are suffering somewhere. Yes. Because it means that our biological and physiological makeup of being us women vulnerable to pregnancy and rape and defilement, we should be specially treated, because that vulnerability does not face what? Face the boy child.
Yes.
Therefore, the uniqueness and differenceness, if that word exists, of a girl and a woman calls for special attention and care to this girl and boy and woman who are central to advancing humanity. So for me, until we need the changing environment, the political environment, the lack of political will. These days, women are used, they are just used, put in position of power to serve power. To serve power. In other words, they are on the table. We are crying and saying women need to get at the table of decision making. Now we have women. They are not at the table. They are on the table like a menu. And so we want them to be at the table and demand to look at the menu and choose what they want. But not being a menu at the table. That's what they are. And until we get, yeah, and that's the truth. Let them deny. Let them deny. Eh? You think if Matembe was like the prime minister of the, you are joking. You are joking. Because, but then, not to blame, as I told you, I'm not blaming them only. I've told you the political environment, the circumstances, and therefore, there is a need to go back, to reflect in this as they celebrate this day. I know they will say, oh, women are in parliament, women are everywhere, but if they are everywhere,
Nothing is done.
if they are everywhere, can they tell us the great achievements that they have made?
Yes. So honorable,
Within the second, the second, but I'm telling you, the second Museveni, like that woman who mans the Museveni's office in Chambogo. Do you know that woman? Is she Namyaro? You mean you don't know people? That one who is in the office of the, like, assistant, NRM, you know, President Museveni is chairman NRM. There is an office there I hear of in Chambogo there, where there is a woman who is called Namyara, I can't remember. But she has sacks of money. They tell me that when people go there, she's dishing out money, she's giving out money, and that, isn't that a powerful woman? Is she powerful in terms of impacting the change for this nation? And you find all of them, there are very many. There are many. Museveni makes all these women. She has picked them and she has used them. They are being used for him and for his interest rather than being used to be impactful and change the situation and move at the rate at which we are moving. Now, for instance, do you hear civil society, when Winnie Byanyima was here suffering, crying out, when they go and arrest those few girls, the few women who are still, I think, in prison, where are these majority of women members of parliament beyond 100, it's like they are 108 or something? What are they saying about this issue of illegal detention of Besigye? We are not saying that Besigye should not be arrested and charged and so what. But if you do it wrong and unfair, and why should the women come out, especially when they know that Winnie Byanyima is one of the distinguished Ugandan women who are fighting? You think me, I have any hope in the women of Uganda? For instance, if me, Miria Matembe, was to be arrested for speaking the truth, I don't see women coming out there like we used to come out there and arrest people. Eh? Arrest people and those fighters, put them in prison. Eh? I don't see them. Me, women of Uganda, Bambi, I'm not accusing you, but in case I get a big challenge here, especially if it is politically related, I know I'm going to suffer, but my Jesus will be there to redeem me.
As we come to the end of the conversation, many young women are coming up into leadership, and we have women who look up to you. Yes, what can they focus on to see that they take on the efforts that you started, the contributions that you've done for the women movements in Uganda? What do you think they can do, these young women?
For me, first of all, the first thing to do is to know.
To know.
To know what is it that we are talking about when we are talking of gender equality and women's empowerment. Let them read. Let them read the history of the women's movement. Let them know what it means, gender equality and women's empowerment. The young people are getting lost. The young women are getting lost into this thing called feminism. You see, I fought this battle and I made sure I would not call myself a feminist. Why?
Why?
Because I knew the feminist, the word feminist, the implication, the understanding of the word feminist here in this country, where feminists are those rebel, women rebels, cantankerous, who want to destroy marriage, who don't recognize the rulership of men and that kind of thing. So I didn't want to call myself a feminist, although I knew what feminist means.
Yes.
Actually, feminist means that person who looks at the world through a woman's eye. That is, a feminist is that one who knows what I'm telling you, that a woman is as much of a human being as a man, and works to ensure that that one is realized. That is the feminist.
Yes.
But now, the young people, I'm a feminist, I'm a feminist. Okay, you are shouting you are feminist, and then feminism is coming with lesbianism, is bringing all these things which are destroying society, which before our whole nation is awake and knows and understands those things. The moment you come like that, you are taking the battle behind. You are attracting fighters for you. You go to parliament and say, yeah, what if I also want to marry, we women want to marry also, polygamous marriage. Why are they giving it to the men on and not us? At this level, at the stage which we have reached in this struggle, you stand up and say also women should marry many men. You will lose it. You will get attacked. Eh? So let me tell you, the women, young women need to be wise. Wow. I remember one time when I was I went to Germany to talk about these women things in Uganda, and I made my preparation very well. These days I speak out of my head. I wrote, my preparation was there, very well made, and I went to talk to them because we wanted to attract support to help finances and resources and skills to empower and advance women. So I went and told them the factors that were hindering us. Maternal mortality, infant mortality is very high, our health conditions are no good, all those things that were happening. And I thought these people would ask me questions related to that to help us improve. Do you know the questions I got? No. Okay. What about, do you have policies and laws? What are your policies and laws on abortion saying? Point number 2. Okay, what about sexual orientation? You now here you call it lesbian. Those days it was still quiet, hidden there. But what about sexual orientation? But because I was brilliant and wise, that was long ago, by the way. I told them when they finished asking, I was so disappointed, but God gave me diplomacy and understanding and knowledge. I didn't shout at them like you were very silly. Because having told them what I told them, I thought they would be attracted. They would say, how can we come in and help in terms of health issues for women? And then I would tell them. But those are the questions they rose. But do you know how I answered? I said, well, I thought I have talked to you very well and presented to you the challenges we are facing, one of which is infant mortality. Our babies cannot grow beyond 5 years. The majority of them die because of these immunizable diseases and so on. Many pregnancies because of lack of health and so on. The women abort and they come out before they are big. And therefore we have a struggle, a challenge against, women producing babies and nurturing them beyond the 5 years. And so, faced with such a challenge, We cannot now be focusing on abortion. The pregnancies are coming out by themselves, and then you want us to say, let us abort. And then the babies are dying so early, and you are saying, let a man marry man. Where shall we get grandchildren? I said, you know what? And they laughed and laughed instead of getting angry. And I said, but don't worry. For us, we are moving, we want to fight those things. And by the time when we overcome them, we don't need to invent a wheel. We shall learn from you what you've been doing in those areas, and then we shall move forward. And they clapped. So, even here in Uganda, the young women need to approach these issues not in terms of, yeah, feminists are here, we must, no, we have not broken through yet to achieve what we want to achieve. They need wisdom and understanding and knowledge. That is number one. Number two, each woman needs to know the purpose for which they are called in life. What is their purpose? What is their God-given purpose? Especially to serve in that area. Yes. For me, my God-given purpose is to shout. To speak and speak against injustice, and to speak, against discrimination, and speak and act. Because when the women come running, you can imagine this is 19 years. This is 19 years since I left public life, in quote. But women run here. And when they run here, I also run to these authorities. And they support me. Like I run to police. Police can be corrupted. But when Matembe gets into a case, no corruption in it. They know it. They say, Matembe is in that one. Let us sort it out and solve it and things. Yes. And so I do my purpose and my action, and God helps me. So they must know the purpose for which they are created. If you have to provide health for these women, if you have to provide education for these women, if you go and do it. If you are to give them economic power, you go and do it. And then number three, we must know that leadership, all these women in leadership is not about self. Leadership is not about self, it is about others. And for me, anybody who thinks I'm successful in my leadership and wants to follow my kind of leadership, central to my leadership is my God and other people. When I'm doing what I'm doing, my concern is, am I serving God? Is it giving God glory? Is what I'm doing giving God glory? And is it helping the people whom He created? Because the Word of God says that for us, everything, we seek God and His kingdom and obey Him and serve His people. Then everything He will give to us. Yes, I agree, I don't have a mansion. Do you see a mansion here? I'm like in my village in Wizwera, Tomakashar, where I was born. This is the kind of home I'm living in. But why do you seek me out? True. You seek me out. I wonder. My housekeeper here says, because yesterday there was a TV here, the other day there was another, today there is another, and in the next time. So going elsewhere. I'm being sought after. Why? Because the type, and I'm not being selfish talking about myself, it's because you asked me. Yes. People who want to follow my kind of leadership and want to leave a legacy like Matembe's legacy, Miria Matembe's legacy, they've got to look into themselves and ask themselves, why are they here? Number two, what do they have in their hand? God asked Moses, I'm sending you to be a leader. Moses said, I'm not able to lead. How can I lead? God told him, what is in your hand? What is in your hand? And Moses had a stick. And I can assure you, with that one stick, a stick, that stick and his God, that stick and his God, he secured. He led the children of Israel. He served his purpose and got them out of slavery. So, you girl or woman or any man who is listening to me and wants to run with acceleration of development in Uganda, ask yourself, who are you And what do you have in your hand?
Yes.
Go and use it. Use it for God
And for other.
and for other people. And I can assure you, I need to have this information out there to all Ugandans. I worked for this country for good 30 years.
30 years. Wow.
They threw me out down like they were throwing me into a dustbin. But because of my service to God and His people,
Yes.
I did not fall from grace to grass. I fell from, they say, they fell from glory. You fall from glory to grass.
Glory.
That's what they say. Me, I fell from worldly glory to God's grace.
Wow.
And I can assure you, I didn't come with any pension. They never gave me any pension, no gratuity, no nothing. And you remember I told you in 1998 I got an award as a distinct woman of the world.
Among
In
the
this
100
Uganda
women
here,
you've voted.
you hear Museveni, president, giving people Simanyi award of what. He has never recognized or acknowledged my work.
Oh.
Never. But here I am. Am I not here?
You're here
Even when they
speaking to
dropped
women.
me as a minister, they never even called me for a cup of tea.
Oh.
At least people, they say goodbye. At least you call them and give them a cup of tea
Tea to
and
say
say
goodbye.
goodbye and give them a gift. Isn't that what happens?
Yes.
I don't have that.
Oh.
I never got that in the government of this country. But I don't cry. I am saying it to people listening to me who hang there and focus their eyes, oh, the government, oh, the president, and they cry and they sell their souls, and that even if you don't get anything from your government,
There are people
Eh?
who recognize your effort.
God knows you and God can help you. And therefore, I want them to go with that message.
Wow. Very beautiful message to you, the young woman who wants to take on leadership. And of course, with what Honorable Miria has shared with her experience, there is a lot to pick from her experience during her days. She's still here talking to us, and I believe we are still learning more from her. Learning never ends, and these are people that we look up to. We should always look up to and pick something that, you know, we can also make change, also contribute to what they left behind, to see that the world there is in a better place. Thank you so much for always tuning in to Civic Space TV. This is Women Rise. It has been a very good conversation, and as you celebrate yourself, Honorable has talked about knowing, read to know more. Then she also said, know your purpose. Know your purpose, and also leadership for others. Yes, do not only consider yourself. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Honorable. It has been a very good conversation here with you.
You are very much welcome, and I thank the Lord for this opportunity. And as I will tell you, this Women's Week, mine even, they are celebrating a month. When I told people, but you are calling me every day, then they went 20th, 21st, 14th, all the days of this month are packed full for me to go and talk and speak, either physically on TV or space or what. And I thank the Lord for that. Because at my age, if I was neglected, where do you think I would be? So what matters, which I did not, by the way, say because you have concluded, but you can always add it in, that in my journey of life, I have come to learn that life does not exist in positions and possessions. It doesn't exist in positions and possessions which people run after. But meaningful life, meaningful and joyful life exists in knowing who you are in God, knowing the purpose for which He created you, and serving it in such a way that it gives Him glory.
Wow.
That's what I have found out. And I tell people listening to me that that's what they should focus on, because the worldly things will leave you. Of all the titles I have held, none is there. None is there.
Yes.
But at least
You're here.
I'm here
Yes.
serving the Lord.
And still serving the people.
Yes.
Thank you so so much, Honorable. She talks of legacy. What legacy are you leaving behind as a young woman in leadership, as a young woman in society? Thank you so much. My name is Naiga Madreen. We wish you all the best on this day as you take on lessons that Honorable has talked about. See you next week. Bye.